And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, it's Sunday. We are recording. How are you today?
I am well, my friend. It is, I got a little Texas accent there. I am doing well, man. It's been a week. I know you and I have a few tales to tell from the week, but I am feeling balanced. I am feeling caught up on some sleep. I've been prioritizing that, Brad. And I feel really grateful to be here with you as always and for another episode of GI. How are you, my dude?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Glad you could come to us live from Texas.
Whole episode we should try this.
We should just do it. Okay.
Freshen it up as we approach 1 year of Gimmick Infringement.
Well, there was a car accident we'll get into a little later. Pertinent destroyed the whole goddamn thing, but no, I can't do this.
No, we love our Texas listeners.
Okay.
We don't agree with everything
Austin,
going on there.
Shout out to Austin.
Yes.
Shout out to the Austin area.
Yeah.
Shout out to Houston.
I hear good things.
Corpus Christi. Basically, all of Dallas and Fort Worth can just break off and sink into the sea. But all the other places I've been to and really enjoyed. I've never enjoyed my time in Dallas. Maybe I'm going to the wrong parts of Dallas. If you are listening from the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you are not my Aunt Jean, please tell me where I need to go to make my next trip enjoyable. Otherwise, I'm just going to drive around you.
Let Brad know this ASAP. Brad, you are much more well-versed on Texas cities than I am. I've driven through there, but I've not spent any substantial time in that state.
Did you do the Amarillo drive?
Absolutely.
Just dreadful. That whole drive is dreadful.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. 100-foot cross, nothing there. Amarillo smells like ass. Nothing there. Eventually, you get into Oklahoma when things get a little more flat somehow.
It's just a massive state. It sounds ridiculous for me to say this, but I just
forgot 1/10% of it.
I just forgot how huge Texas is. I think about California, New York, and just because those have a lot of name value and are just associated with pop culture. But it's like, no, Texas is like just it's just massive. I feel like you could spend a whole year just going to every part of Texas and hanging out.
You could probably never see it all. I actually really, in all honesty, it was like a total. I'm just kidding. I don't really care about what happens there, and I don't really care about Dallas-Fort Worth. I really, truly will avoid it at all costs. But I told Jess, I'm like, if we ever had to move to another state that's not a state that we've lived in before, I think I'd want it to be Texas. There's access to kind of everything you want on the cheap, because there's like. Have you ever heard of HEB?
Yes, that's a store, right?
Yes. It's among other things. Yes. In the center of most of these stores, at least the large ones, they have like clothing and camping and all of these different things. Wow. They have their own brand.
It's like a Fry's Marketplace.
Except it's not like Kroger stuff. It's their own brand. So they had like their own comp to a Yeti cooler.
Wow.
And we bought one of those. It's awesome. It's absolutely incredible. Like all their stuff is really nice. They have trailer grills. So I said, like, the next time we get a grill, if we're going to go get a real grill, we are bringing one back from an HEB over in Texas. Because they make it just exists in Texas. Like their motto is like, buy Texas families for Texas families or something like that, or at least for Texas families. So it's like, there is the enormous sense of state pride. Obviously it's Texas, and community. And also Austin's super weird. I love Austin so much. It's like a great music scene, great food,
right. Very liberal.
Yes and no. It's very both of those things. It doesn't make any sense. So it's very liberal compared to like surrounding areas, but then you can drive out there like an hour and there's Fitchburg, and it's or Fredericksburg, excuse me.
Fredericksburg.
And it's incredible. Fitchburg is in Wisconsin. Fredericksburg is in Texas. Although I have a feeling that there is a Fitchburg, Texas. It just sounds like something there would be, and it's cool. It's a really beautiful area.
Wow.
Hill country is incredible. I would drive through there all day, every day.
I did not expect you to put over Texas. I guess my final thoughts on it is pro, in my experience, they have the closest historically Black college to Arizona.
Yeah.
Con, I just want women's rights to be respected in all of our 50 states. I mean, we had a previous segment on that, I think, a GI months ago, but it's nice to know that a neighboring state does have some cool cities and attractions. And maybe my next trip needs to be to Texas to see the great parts of the state.
Yeah, the sort of law mandating that hedge funds have to contribute to oil and guns feels incredibly totalitarian to me. And they'll do that under the guise of protecting freedoms, even though that's like what dictatorships do. So, but people will say it's not a dictatorship because it's within the state, which is just a weird way to think about things. Things feel more and more out of control lately, now that Arizona has passed a law requiring that any book that goes into a library has to go through basically the textbook approval adoption process. And there's all kinds of books that are banned entirely from even being allowed to be on campus. We have now a mandatory
451 stuff.
Absolutely. We now have a mandatory moment of silence before each school day.
I experienced that. I meant to tell you about a week or two ago when I was at the shoot job visiting a school that they had that. That was my first experience having that prolonged moment of silence. And it was different.
Listen, a moment of silence for people that have fallen, for people that have died, for our freedoms and for our country, here for it. But like when you say it's a moment of reflection for prayer, and
separation of church and state
and other things. Yeah, they separated by adding a comma and say, or reflection, or quiet reflection on your day. You just passed a prayer law. You think a prayer law is going to, you're trying to get prayer back into schools. I am not a very good man of faith, but I would consider myself one. And to hear stuff like that, I think is just absolute garbage. Like keep it out of the state. Like I'm done with it. To see things advertised that are like religious organizations on our campuses. What are we even doing? Like there's Sunday school for a reason. It's Sunday. You want to go after school? Cool. Offering it during school time. It's public education, not religious studies. It's weird. And if you want to do religious studies, offer it as a class. Don't make it theology period. Ooh, I'm cutting a promo of the week right now.
I was gonna say, Brad, don't steal my gimmick. That's later, the return. I agree with you on this. And as someone who religion is a huge part of my lineage, like my grandfather was a pastor, my uncle is a pastor. Like you said, it's a whole thing in New Jersey. Like you said, it's whatever helps you get through the day and get through the trials and tribulations of life. As long as it's not hurting anyone, I totally support it. But to your point about the separation of church and state and what a public education experience should look like and how it should feel, I would agree that this is just an interesting development. I just think back to being in that classroom a couple weeks ago, and the kids were wonderful during that moment of silence. It seems like most were using that time for their reflection or whatever they needed. But man, it was just so different because you told me this is something new this year, but experiencing it live and in person, I was like, wait, I thought this moment of silence was like 3 seconds before. Now it's extended and extended and extended. So yeah, man, interesting times, but I agree with you. That's a little not my favorite aspect of what we're doing.
Yeah, it used to be 10 seconds. We used to do it during announcements, and now it's
10. It felt like 3. Yeah,
we would do the Pledge of Allegiance, which is also mandatory, and then we would do 10 seconds of silence, which was, I don't know if it was mandatory or if it was just something we did. I don't remember. And now it's a minute at the beginning of each school day, including in kindergarten. I haven't asked Freya how that's gone. I imagine that's exciting times. So my kids have been great. I will continue to do it. I will always follow those rules. I've heard other people not doing it, which I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I want that smoke. If somebody reports you, it's over. So
we don't want the smoke at all.
No, absolutely not.
Brad,
Speaking of,
Oh, I was trying to beat you to the
You're going for the
transition.
transition. Okay, go for it.
I had like two in mind. I was gonna say either speaking of people who want the smoke, but this is not a Street Profits reference. So I'll go to the original one I had about 60 seconds ago. Speaking of things that I'm not sure I like, my first question for you, my friend, WWE related, has to be Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns. Press conference was this past weekend, Brad, and we now know what the main event is going to be for the next Crown Jewel event from Saudi Arabia. I believe this is occurring in November, during the first week of November.
Yes.
Please feel free to correct if I'm wrong. Okay,
No, that's
awesome.
right.
Yeah, so this is a thing that's happening. Logan Paul's third match, he gets the challenge for the undisputed Universal Championship against our tribal chief. My question for you, though, I just can't believe we're actually talking about this. How does this main event, Paul versus Reigns, to you, Brad, stack up or compare to the other absurdity that we've seen from these Saudi Arabia shows? I specifically want to reference previous main event matches
I
that
know
we've
where you're
had.
going with this.
For example, we've seen, and again, this is more on the absurdity front.
Sure.
We've seen Goldberg versus The Fiend, which we have
I
thoughts on.
I knew that was going to be
We've
number one.
referenced
Yeah.
several times over the past year on the
Yeah.
show. We've had I know you remember this. We've had the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and Undertaker versus DX, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels' return match that
was that in Saudi or was that in Australia?
I thought that was in Saudi.
I can't remember.
I may need to double check that.
I know it wasn't in America, so whatever it was overseas.
I'm almost positive it's in Saudi. When you give me your response, I'll quickly look this up. And then we also had, I believe this was Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar.
That was Crown Jewel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So similar to Logan Paul, Cain was brand new to WWE, but got that shot instantly. So, of course, your initial reactions, I know our listeners want to hear, as do I. But then also, again, how does this match to you compare to this other absurdity? Because although I do not love Logan Paul getting a world title shot, I would admit that I think this match is probably going to be pretty good. Logan Paul's impressed in ring so far, and Roman Reigns is going to help make him look like $1 million. So I want to pass it to you.
I think it's easy. I told you the same thing. I think in a text. I think I told you, or I sent it to the group. I can't remember. Logan Paul is a draw. He will draw eyeballs. Triple H understands the history of WWF when it was super popular, and this is part of that history. One of the things I think, if you want to go into the way back, that I think you and I probably, maybe me more than you, I am older than you, would have liked to have seen is Mike Tyson actually do the match. Mike Tyson guest refereed, pushed and shoved, but we never got a Tyson match. I'm not saying Logan Paul is Tyson, but he's an outside of the ring known person for his podcast, for fighting, for doing those kinds of things, especially his brother, known for boxing. But Logan Paul, he did box Floyd, and he didn't get knocked out. He went the distance. He lost. Of course he was. Floyd's probably the best defensive boxer ever. I don't think it's close. And what I think is so interesting is that people aren't really recalling the press conference, the old school press conferences with Tyson, with even Mr. T at the time, when that was a new thing to do, right? Bringing these outside stars in to do work and then treat it like it's a real deal, treat it like it's a shoot fight. I think that's great. It was the same thing like when Tyson first got there for the DX. I don't remember who was talking about it, about the DX, the Austin versus Michaels, with Tyson being there, and that Tyson brought a whole bunch of his crew with because he didn't know it was fake and he thought he was going to get in a shoot fight while he was there. I think that's amazing. It's an amazing story. Logan Paul knows how to act. Logan Paul knows how to behave in those situations. I'm ready for it. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be Roman Reigns doing a ton of selling, Logan Paul doing a bunch of insanely athletic things, sticking to what's in his wheelhouse, probably cheating a bunch. And I think it'll be great. I think it'll be a ton of fun. I think having the star power there is good. I think Roman's obviously he's going to retain, but it's an opportunity to have other people interfere. Maybe we have some new feuds set up because Roman's there. Maybe we get returns. Maybe we get debuts. Who knows what will happen here? But yeah, I think it's a good move. I think more people will watch because Logan Paul is there. I mean, it's ultimately WWE at the end of the day is, and all wrestling really is an entertainment company, and it's, can we get as many eyes on the product as humanly possible? Because this will be a moment. Remember, we talked about this 1,000 times. WWE is about the moments. This will be probably a match that will be relatively forgettable, but the event itself might not be. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you're very persuasive. I was much more down on this before you and I texted about it, and before now I'm hearing your thoughts live and on camera. All your points are well said. It's definitely a spectacle. It'll get eyeballs on the product. I forget just how much of a reach these Paul brothers have. Brad, I texted you yesterday. I'm still a bit mystified at how these guys are as massively famous as they are. I'm not sure what their talent is. And I wonder what their reach is overseas. I guess I may have underestimated that people perhaps in Saudi Arabia or anywhere abroad really know who these brothers are and want to tune in to see them. I know the other Paul brother is fighting Anderson Silva, ironically here in Glendale in October. And then with Logan Paul, like you said, it's been cool to see him in ring because he's just been really good.
He's very good.
I guess I struggle to put myself in the shoes of people who actually care about these two guys, are interested in what they do in their lives, and just, I am not a fan. I don't get it. I do appreciate that Roman is clearly the babyface here. If you think back to SmackDown, Brad, Logan Paul was getting booed. They were not about it. Everyone in that arena was all about Roman Reigns and the bloodline. So I do appreciate that. Hopefully in Saudi Arabia, Roman will continue to get cheered and Paul will actually surprisingly be the heel in this match. Roman has to win, no question about it. And I do really enjoy that. The bloodline to me seems to be getting some renewed life here. Roman at that press conference, Brad, I will admit, I did watch some of the press conference.
So good.
Some of the best promo work I've seen from him of this entire reign. He was he was natural. Hollywood is clearly going to be knocking on this dude's door sooner than later. It was jarring even for me as a huge Roman fan, but you have Roman in his bag fully. You have the Usos maybe showing some vulnerability.
The Jay side-eye to Sammy.
You have Sammy, who is contributing so much to this act.
Yeah.
And now we have Solo being brought up. Again, you and I think would have loved to see Drew win at least one of the titles at Clash of the Castle. But you have Solo, who costed him the match. And I think Solo being brought up is just a really great call. So I do like a lot of what's happening here. I just want Roman to be the babyface in this scenario. I want Logan Paul to get booed. And then I don't think I need to see these two fight ever again. But it is a draw. We know Crown Jewel has these spectacle main events that you want to see because you're just like, what in the world is this matchup going to look like? I would cite Goldberg versus Undertaker. I don't know if I brought that up earlier. That was a spectacle match that none of us ever need to see again. So clearly this will contain really solid in-ring work. I just still am mystified at how Logan Paul and Jake Paul have turned their lives into being two of the most popular celebrities in the country. I don't understand it, but I know I need to get over that.
Yeah, man. Like I agree with you. I don't get the Logan Paul act. I don't get the popularity there.
I don't get it at all. He's average. What's his?
Yeah.
What makes him special?
I mean, when he's on the mic, when he's in the ring and all of that stuff, he's charismatic. He has a different look to him. He's obviously athletic. I think his video promos where he can do stuff on his own podcast about it have been better than the stuff he's done in WWE because he's allowed to swear. He's allowed to make references to things.
I haven't watched the Roman interview or anything.
Well, not Roman, just Paul cutting promos on Roman, or that's where this thing started. It wasn't in the ring when he said it. He said it on his podcast. So
right.
WWE has, since Triple H has taken over, has really crossed out into the world and going like, yeah, do stuff here, do stuff there, do stuff here. Just who cares? Just let's all connect it together because people are online now, not just on TV. So let's do stuff online, connect it to TV, and it'll be great. And that's AEW has been doing that for a while because they're allowed to do their own promos and whatnot. So I love that they're doing it because it's a lot more polished than what AEW would be capable of, just from a manpower and writing standpoint. So yeah, I think it's great. I think I I don't love that we're getting this match on a pay-per-view, on a premium live event, but also I don't care about this. Like I don't care about crown jewelers, like 9 crown jewels a year. I don't care about any of them. I just don't. I just give me a reason to give a crap. It just seems dumb to me. But
Yeah. I mean, I still struggle with the concept.
blood money in the bank. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you and you and I have spoken on air and off air about just the mental gymnastics you can do to try to put your money or invest in companies and businesses that have fully ethical practices. But yeah, I still struggle with, do I want to watch these shows? And because we have a podcast and because we try to do our due diligence for this show, I still struggle with, do I want to actually invest the time to watch it? Even though universally the last Blood Money in the Bank was applauded for being a really good show. I think it was Edge versus Seth in an epic cage match. Brock versus Roman was the main event. Luckily, we're not getting Brock versus Roman part 8 for this show. So I struggle with, do I actually want to watch this? I haven't quite made up my mind yet on what my position is. I think I lean toward, I don't want to support it.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm probably still going to end up watching it. So
it's hard not to. We love wrestling. Yeah. We love these performers.
So speaking of loving our performers here, and maybe having questions about them in general, sometimes, Pat McAfee. Tyler, my question for you is about Pat. Really the lack of Pat. Pat McAfee is off commentary for the foreseeable future because he is now doing College Game Day, which is awesome for Pat. I think that is he's done stuff with them before, so it made sense that he would end up that way. In the meantime, Corey Graves has stepped into that responsibility. He's pulling double duty, doing Monday nights and Friday nights now. This is a two-parter. How do you think Corey Graves has done with Michael Cole so far? And do you think Graves gets unnecessary heat from fans online?
Yes, for the second part. I've never claimed to be a Corey Graves super fan, but I think he's done really well. Like you said, just imagining the schedule he's cutting now while Pat's away is really impressive. I think the dude does get unnecessary flack because I think he just bothers a lot of people. I think he's an irritant for a lot of fans. Like I think they envision on what Corey Graves is like as a person outside of the job and don't seem to like him, even though we don't know what any of these people are really like.
No.
We have no clue, but I think that sort of bleeds into the reason why folks aren't very high on him. In terms of his work, I can't knock his hustle, man. The schedule he's cutting, the work he does, I think he's really good on commentary. I think him and Cole, I believe, have really good chemistry. McAfee has chemistry with Cole as well. It just looks and feels different than what Graves and Cole have. But he is, I mean, obviously WWE has a lot of faith in him. He's a clear choice to fill Pat's shoes. I'm not mad at him at all. I really enjoy his work, quite frankly, from NXT and then all the reps he's been putting in on the main roster. You're nodding, so I'm assuming you agree? You're high on his work?
So I really don't understand the hate. Also, I can kind of understand the hate. Like, people like what they like. It's just, I was trying to figure out like why. This morning I spent a good deal of time trying to wake up in bed thinking like, well, I'm asking this question, so like, let's see if I can figure it out before
you woke up thinking about Corey Graves. I love it.
I
Dedication.
did. He's such a guy. I think the last 2 weeks has been solid. This week especially, I really liked him in there because last week wasn't Saxton in there with him. I can't remember.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Michael Cole, ever since Vince retired, has been the best commentator in the world. He's just free and incredible. And we've known this for a long time that he's incredible. But listening to Mick Foley and why he quit the commentary job on his podcast. I don't know if you listened to Foley's pod, but he was
No,
talking
man.
about being on.
I've been solely relying on you for this. Tell me more.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't get to watch anything. I'm just back there listening to Foley's pod,
3 hours.
3-hour episodes with him and Conrad, which great podcast, great interviews and stuff. But a lot of it ends up being repetitive, probably from all the chair shots. So I just.
What did he say about?
He talked about Vince in the ear. Being very disrespectful, saying like, stop it with that effing stuff and knock the F off, and getting really growly, and him saying, if this is going to be common, I don't want to do this. He's like, I'm sorry, I had a bad day. I was having a tough day, that kind of thing. And then time went by, and then it happened again. And he's like, this is not an uncommon thing. This is all the time. So he went back and cut a promo on Vince, and Gorilla just got in his face and started yelling at him. And, don't you ever disrespect me like that again. And basically put it in his 2 weeks. And that was that.
I did not know that. And now he's posting videos of his reaction to the Vince
thing,
sell of the stunner, right?
But he went back and like, he still did a couple of shows before leaving.
Right.
And like, he did his job, and then he left. I think that might've been his exit for why he ended up in TNA. I can't recall.
And he had an in-ring run in TNA. He wasn't solely a commentator like he was in WWE. He had some in-ring work. Right. And then he's gone back and forth ever since then, done indie shows and done his one-man show and done a bunch of stuff. But I was thinking about Michael Cole probably having all these limitations on what he could do, and now he's free. But Vince always wanted the Lawler JR combo, the babyface straight down the line commentator and the heel color guy. And I think Corey Graves does a bit of commentator and color. But he tends to play heel all the time, like to have that banter. But it's just, McAfee didn't really need to do that. McAfee would do babyface and heel stuff. He just liked the wrestling part. So having him in there as a fan, I think is great. Corey Graves as a worker doing commentator is just different, because I think he has to go heel babyface instead of just going like this rules. And he does a good job saying like, well, you have to respect what they're doing here. You can't not, like that kind of thing. But he's so good and so unbelievably polished that it sounds robotic and mechanical. I think he's so good that sometimes it's too good. I don't know that having Jim Nantz be in the WWE is good for the WWE. I think having somebody a little less polished in the WWE as a color person, somebody that's a little rougher around the edges like McAfee, adds so much to that. Graves is just, he's so good that I think he comes off as maybe hard to identify with or relate to, but he's incredible. I think Cole is probably going to be the guy this year on commentary that wins commentator of the year. And I don't know if they already released that. I know they did the 500 already, the PWI 500, but like for my money, it's Cole. But Corey Graves is up there, man. Like he's so good right now. And I don't get the unnecessary heat. That line coming out of that audio dump for the holy shit chants on SmackDown, I was really confused with what was going on, because it was like, holy shit, audio dump. Like they got it to shit and then it stopped. And they shut that down real quick. And then it was gone. Then it was like, I know there were 8 letters there, but there's 4 we can't say on broadcast television. He got there so fast with that right out of the dump that I was infinitely impressed with him for simple little things like that. So yeah, man, I think Corey Graves gets unnecessary heat. I think he's doing a great job. It's not McAfee, but I think he deserves the credit there. Like we deserve some flowers, Tyler. I think it's time for a rose from Tyler.
And now for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
It is time. Somehow this is the last one. We are heading into part 2 finale of season 19, Brad. So this is a pretty epic occasion. I'm a little sentimental about all this, but I do need to provide you and our listeners with an update as we head into the final episode of season 19 this Tuesday. And here we go. So Brad, some major updates for you, my man. I'm just gonna go into it. Zach and Avon are both gone. So you may recall that Gabby had one guy left, Eric, the Jimi Hendrix super fan. So bad. And then Rachel had 3 guys left. Yes. Rachel had 3 guys left heading into last week. She had the front runner, Tino, the general contractor from California. And then Zach and Avon. We knew Zach was going to be eliminated. That's sort of what the episode was teasing. So that was no surprise. The overnight, the fantasy suite between Rachel and Zach went extremely poorly, and he was ousted. No surprise there. Brad, our guy, Avon, who we've been rooting for all season, had a really good shot. So this past week, we learned that Rachel really did like Avon during Avon's visit with Rachel's family. So Rachel's family came to Mexico to visit the guy, so they didn't have to travel to Florida to visit Rachel's fam. But we learned that Rachel really did have feelings for Avon, and maybe even more so than Tino, it would appear. But during Avon's visit with Rachel's family, Avon sort of confessed, I guess you could say, that he is not exactly ready to be engaged with Rachel. His position was, I really like your daughter. I really do enjoy her and see myself with her, but I want to make sure that this is the right time. Essentially saying, I want to spend time with her outside of this TV show where we're being filmed 24/7, and I want to see if this is truly right for both of us. That was a surprise to Rachel. She thought Avon was all in, and thus that led to the downfall of their relationship. So Rachel broke up with Avon on this episode, and Tino is the only person left. So heading into this week's finale, there was only one guy left for both women, which I think is pretty unprecedented. Usually the drama is, who is the Bachelor, Bachelorette actually going to choose? Well, now we know for Gabby, it's Eric. For Rachel, it's Tino. But there's been drama teased during the trailer about if this will work out for both women. Eric seems unsure that he wants to get engaged to Gabby. And Tino's saying he's ready, Brad, but the theme of the past few weeks has been consistent with him in that the audience doesn't really know how genuine it is. I don't know if he's just getting a poor production cut, but we're getting major heel vibes from this dude, Brad. I don't think Tino and Rachel are going to last. We saw a clip in the trailer that shows maybe after production wrapped, something went wrong with them because Rachel seems very, not accusatory, but she seems to be asking Tino, why did you lie to me? Why are you just telling me this now? So there's some drama being kind of spread about maybe they actually didn't work out in the long run. And then, like I said, I believe Eric actually does end up with Gabby, but there's been some teasing of if he's actually ready to be engaged. So my question for you, if I may lead this into a fourth question, Brad, or a third question, I guess, on this episode. These past few weeks of The Bachelorette have all been centered around the majority of the men remaining not feeling ready to become engaged, which is pretty maddening. On one hand, I think I would be the same way. Like, it totally makes sense you wouldn't be ready to get engaged with someone you met 5 weeks ago on a show. But also, we know that this is what the franchise is all about, is the money is in the proposal at the end. So my question for you, Brad, thinking about your wonderful relationship, your wonderful partner, Jess, when did you know, this is a total surprise, I didn't prepare you for this. When did you know, okay, Jess isn't just like, my lady and someone I enjoy spending time with, but no, this is the woman who I want to propose to. This is the woman who I want to spend forever with, if that doesn't sound too cheesy. When did you know, okay, this isn't just cool for the moment, this is actually the person I want to be with?
I have no idea. I still haven't decided.
This is going to be edited out in post.
No way.
Production.
No. So
that's been a common theme on the show is the men aren't ready. And on one hand, I respect that, but also, didn't you come on knowing this is
Tyler?
I want to hear your thoughts.
What does that mean? We use it here when we say we don't know if a wrestler is ready. I actually used to say that. Now I don't necessarily say that all the time. I can say maybe not ready for main roster. in that they don't have a character yet, but like ready. What do we mean ready to be engaged? The hell changes. Truly, like it's a question. Everybody in this in this current audio or YouTube sphere that is married or engaged understands this question. Not a damn thing changes when you get engaged, except you got a ring and you got a lot of planning to do. If you can survive the planning, you will survive almost anything. We talked about it too. We were like, we're not ready to have kids yet. We're not ready. We got to be ready. We're never going to be ready. Everybody kept telling you, oh, you're not ready. You're never going to be ready. Just have a kid. Like there's no ready to have a kid. You just have a kid.
Yeah.
So
there's not like a quiz you take. Okay, we are now ready to be engaged. We're now ready to have Freya.
I've
Just
told
go
you
for it.
I've told you the engagement story, right?
Oh man, you're putting me on blast. I think you have, but why do I not remember?
So Jess and I decided to get a gym membership, and people have been asking me, when are we going to get engaged? Am I going to propose? Blah blah blah. And I was like, shut your mouth. I don't know.
How long had you been together at that point? Do you know? Several
almost
years.
Like a couple years. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe 2 years, maybe a little less than 2 years. I can't remember.
Sounds reasonable. Should I get off the pot, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So, well, we moved across country together, so I feel we were there. I want to say we started dating in May of 2006, and I proposed just after the new year in 2009. No, 8.
Oh, nice.
And we got married in the summer of 2008. So
nice.
It feels like I did it in 2007, but it was January of 8. We turned around that wedding got turned around quick. I was like, okay, we'll have like a year and then we'll get married. And nope. Doing it in June. So my head spun around pretty quickly at that moment.
This was June in Arizona, yeah?
No, Michigan. We drove back.
I was going to say, don't tell me you had a wedding
down
in
here.
June. Okay.
We got engaged down here and then went to Michigan for the wedding.
I don't remember any of this.
Okay. So we got a Bally Fitness. This is going to take a minute. We got a Bally Fitness.
Let's go.
Membership.
Bally Fitness Network.
And Bally Fitness throws in a free fitness evaluation so they can try to hawk their personal trainers off on you. Guy injured me, quite frankly. But if I have a trainer and they're like, you're going to do this, I'm going to effing do that. And if they're like, no, keep going. You got more in you. Okay. I got more in me. I'm going to keep going. I will, like a machine, I will do those things. And I did. Tyler, I hadn't lifted in years at that point, like 2-3 years at least. And suddenly I'm in there doing weighted calf raises. And my first set, I'm up to like 100. And I'm just like, with like, I don't know, I want to say 50 pounds. Maybe more than that on
because the trainer is saying like, Brad, you got
like,
this.
You got more. It's like, yeah, just keep going. And it was like he was just doing a fitness evaluation. My calves apparently were in great shape, but then like I ran out of energy. I had no energy. It was like time to do push-ups, and I had nothing left. And I collapsed. Like I got up and then I just fell. It was like I have nothing in the tank. We're done now.
Yeah.
I'm here because I'm out of shape. So I'd like to not die today. And fast forward 2 days, I had to take a day off. Because my body, the night before, I took muscle relaxers from when my back went out, because I had to walk on my tiptoes to be able to walk. I could not put my foot flat on the floor. It hurt too bad. My calves are so messed up. Like I'm not walking around the school like with my tiptoes. Like I'll just wait it out and I'll have like Chris Mullen like calves at that point. And then my triceps and my biceps were so tight. It was the tendons at the elbow, my joint, I couldn't bend them all the way down. So like I would have to take a sip of water with 2 hands and tip it like that. I was a mess. Like whatever the acid is that pools, uric acid, I think. I almost said lactic acid, but I think that's wrong. Could be right. Anyway, I locked up. I just absolutely locked up. On my day off, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to commit to this. So the day that I took off, I got up kind of late and I went ring shopping. It was that day I woke up and I just sort of knew I'm going to do this. I'll save the proposal for another time, but
yeah,
because that was a mess. The proposal was a mess, but I did it that day. It was that night. It was Jess's birthday, and I was like, "Oh, I got to go get her a birthday gift." And I was like, "No, I think this is better, more appropriate." And then it all fell apart, my plan, but it was just sort of, I woke up and I knew, and that was it. No,
Yeah.
no light bulb, no, like we were making eye contact moment. No, we were out to dinner and
Violins
the
or
light was right. And
the
I
ambiance
went,
was right.
yeah, I went and like, this is the woman for the rest of my, no, I just woke up, was like, yep, that's it.
Man.
The end, I know.
I love it. Well, hopefully the two bachelors remaining will feel the same way. We'll end the show with proposals, but my prediction is Eric will propose to Gabby, and perhaps they're happy now. But
Hopefully you just saw the chat pop up.
I just saw,
Did you-
I opened the photo you sent in the chat of Eric, and I do get Kroger Cash Wheeler vibes. I didn't
Yes.
think about that at all.
I
But
pulled
the
up the
mullet,
picture, yeah.
the mullet is really essential to this comparison.
The side view, the short
Yes.
beard, the mullet. It looks like if Cash lost a ton of muscle and got taller.
I was gonna say if Eric put on maybe 20 to 30 pounds,
Yes.
we could be there. Yes. I'm gonna say Eric proposed and him and Gabby are still together. On the other hand, I'm gonna say Tino and Rachel. I believe Tino did propose, but something went haywire after the show wrapped, and they are not together. Those are my official predictions. Season 19, one more episode. This has been fun.
I'm glad I put the Jess question down, because no way we had enough audio room in there for all of that. That was a 10-minute segment because of my yammering. So I apologize to the listeners, but you know what? I don't enjoy the love talk. We are heading toward Tyler's AEW question. Hit me with it.
Yeah, my initial thought, Brad, was to ask you about the PWI 500 and one would argue the omission of Jon Moxley being in the top 10. So certainly if you have time to fit in your thoughts there, please do. Although I think simply you agree that Mox should have made the top 10.
Yes.
However, I think the conversation has to start and possibly end with Dynamite Grand Slam. It's finally here. Brad, I think for you and I, arguably our favorite memory in wrestling last year, regardless of company, was the face-off between Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega in the opening match of Grand Slam. The arena, the atmosphere, the sheer excitement, it was incredible. So I have high expectations heading into the second year of Dynamite Grand Slam from Arthur Ashe Stadium this week in New York. My question for you has to deal with the AEW World Title picture.
Dang it.
We have our matchup, Blackpool Combat Club City. Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, 2, now for the gold. I want to know who wins and when does MJF get his shot?
Man. You know this is my question, right?
We have a lot we can discuss, though. The
Okay.
Acclaimed are going to the coronation of the Acclaimed is going to happen.
Okay,
We have
here's
a women's fatal 4-way. I got you.
I got this. Here we go. MJF, I don't know. So let me get to the questions.
There we go. All right. You did answer one.
Bryan, 2005. Did you see this list?
No.
2005. Bryan wins the top prize, wins the ROH title when CM Punk leaves. 2014. Bryan wins the top title when CM Punk leaves. 2022. Bryan's up for the chip. He's probably going to win. I think it's pretty clear he's going to win. CM Punk left. Presumably, at least for the time being.
I did not see that.
He gets CM Punk scraps. There's a story there, and I want it to happen. They need to feud if CM Punk is back in AEW. I want to see that happen. I think Danielson's the move. I think Danielson wins. I'd like Mox versus MJF a lot more than Danielson versus MJF. Like a lot more. Right now, I don't care about Danielson versus MJF, even though I think the match will be great. MJF is criminally underrated as an in-ring talent. But I think Danielson deserves a run for a little while with the belt. I don't want to see him drop it. What's the next pape? Is it Full Gear?
Full Gear.
Yeah.
November.
So I feel like Full Gear would be where MJF would cash in the championship, and make it a stip or something. He's already number one contender at that point, we'll say, or something. There's got to be something that happens, because I really want MJF to feud with Moxley for a little while. Again, because I liked their feud before, but it was not in front of anybody.
I think that's what has some people leaning toward picking Moxley actually for this match to become the first 3-time champion, because it seems like those seeds are being planted for an MJF versus Moxley feud. But maybe that's just to throw us off.
I don't want Moxley to win. I really don't want Moxley to win here. And it's not because I don't want Moxley to be champion. He just keeps losing. And for no reason other than to put the belt back on him and then lose it again. So I think it's too soon. I don't think CM Punk should ever have the belt again if he comes back. I could see him winning TNT and always being in the picture, but I don't want him ever winning that belt again. Not ever. His runs have both ended in injury after 3 minutes. So he's just injury prone and he's older. So it is what it is. Mox can't be. If Mox wins again, it's going to be the AEW version of Hollywood Hulk Hogan. We don't know what to do. Let's just put the belt on Hogan. We don't know what to do. Let's put the belt on Moxley. I don't want him to get it back. I'd rather see Hangman in that spot if we're going to do that.
Well, Hangman's in that golden ticket match, which also plays a role. And maybe is the golden ticket winner going to get the shot at Full Gear?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Will delay MJF's, I think, inevitable win, which you and I are stoked for.
Well, we still don't really understand how the casino chip works.
Right.
It's not Money in the Bank. It.
Right.
Yeah, where is it? I don't know. I don't know if this is.
But maybe does MJF walk out of New York with gold? I guess is the inevitable sub question from this.
I don't know. It depends on how it works, Tyler. If it's I get a match whenever I want, wherever I want, then yes. Mm-hmm. If not, then no, because he's not wrestling in that match at all. So he walks out if you can cash it in whenever he feels like. So if Mox and Danielson, presumably they'll go to war, they'll be beaten up and stuff, and then the firm will come out and keep Blackpool Combat Club out of the ring. And then MJF can win the title. That's the move. Danielson has another stupidly short title reign. Like always for him.
The best wrestler in the world, arguably.
Yes. And then MJF gets the belt. I think that would be the best case scenario. Danielson wins, so he's champion, so you can say AEW champion, lose immediately, which I don't want, but I'm fine with. Because I would love to see Danielson have the run that CM Punk was supposed to have by wrestling a bunch of young talent and making them look great. Yeah, instead of burying them in a press conference.
Not good.
So I think I think we can see it happening, but I don't want it to happen. But I'll save my question now that I've covered all of it for later. Well, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. In short, Danielson, I believe, needs to pick up this victory, and it makes sense for me that Mox would then hopefully be able to take his vacation that he so desperately deserves. I know there's an upcoming Cincinnati show, which you think he would be present for, but I want to see that man get some time off after really carrying the company on his back. Danielson victory. I'm actually not as keen on MJF potentially cashing in as you are. Of course, our end game is MJF gets the belt and has an epic reign with it. But I want to see, you alluded to this actually, Brad, I want to see Danielson have a reign that is substantive and worthy of, like, this guy is the best in the world. And hey, he's our top male champion. So Danielson victory. I don't even know if MJF gets the championship match at Full Gear. That just seems so soon. Maybe this is where we get Danielson Hangman 3, since it's tied 1-1 in their rivalry. If Hangman wins the golden ticket, which MJF perhaps cashes in at Winter is Coming or even Revolution.
That's a good one.
I just don't think I would like a Danielson instant victory and then a drop, which I know you said you're not necessarily keen on either. So Danielson wins and MJF does not become champion until, I'm going to say, Winter is Coming. I think Danielson gets at least one pay-per-view victory retaining.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I don't want him to have a short run. I totally agree. Since being there, he's been an incredible match machine.
Yes, you got the GOAT on your roster.
Yes, yeah, and no, I'm with you, man. I think it's great. I want to see MJF be champion, but I want that feud to matter. I don't want him to just steal it, because then does Bryan get a rematch right away? If so, I want him to win and there'd be cheating, and then he's back at the bottom of the list. So I don't know. And then who takes it from him? Adam Cole, maybe? I don't know.
Adam, we could see Adam Cole back sooner than later. You would think.
Yeah. And who knows when Kyle's coming back? Kyle O'Reilly might not be back until late next year. I just,
As well.
yeah, the roster is just really taking a blow. Sucks they couldn't come to terms with Bobby Fish. I think he could have helped out a lot and would have been good in these spots, but also it's Bobby Fish. So what are you going to get? Yeah, I don't know, man. I was waiting for a transition, so I'm going to go.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you. This is we're preparing for my favorite part of Gimmick Infringement, Brad. So I'm going to let you handle the transition. I just cannot wait for this edition of the segment.
Yeah, someday when you have kids, let's go.
And now it's time for
I'm crazy.
Someday when you have kids.
You're crazy.
Yeah, I had nothing. I was waiting for you to transition me into it. But I liked the go ahead and give yourself a transition into your own segment, so I could blow smoke up my own ass. I really like that. So we're this week. There's so much stuff that happened, and school stuff for me personally. Working on a grant, getting absolutely gutted by eviscerated by my professor on the grant proposal that I sent in, and all of it was legitimate. He at one point said, "Did you even read the email I sent you?" So first of all, I sent in this proposal not as a first draft. I sent it in for feedback, not for a first draft. I just wanted to know because the grant was due Thursday, not the draft for this class. It's due in October, so whatever. So anyway, that was one thing. I had an epic migraine on Friday, and it wasn't even the worst thing that happened this week. By far, it was the car accident. Jess was in another car accident. The car is likely totaled, but this time Freya was in the middle of the car. Everybody's okay. An ancient lady, somebody from the Civil War, I believe, was driving across the street, stopped in a clear street view, like unobstructed, no buildings, no trees, looked both ways and decided now was the time to cross right in front of Jess. Jess T-boned the car. It crashed in the front of the car, mostly. Airbags deployed, curtain airbags on Freya's side in the back. Well, I guess on the driver's side in the back. Freya's in the middle. And the airbag, Jess was pretty banged up. Nothing broken, no major cuts, anything like that. Her arm was a little bit lacerated, bruised all over, as much from the safety features as from anything else. But, that's what they're there for. Freya was fine. She was kind of more than fine. Someday when you have kids, Tyler, and I hope you never experience this, to be honest with you, but things are going to happen out of your control and they're going to be utterly terrifying. I was in my classroom when there were some text messages that popped up from Jess saying, "Hey, everything's fine. I'm okay. I was in a car accident again. The car is not so much okay." Freya was in the car, and that was the last thing I read before my phone rang. And I picked up my phone because I looked at the thing on there, and it said Quackenbush, and Rob is our SRO at our campus, and he was told to call and notify me that Jess was in a car accident and that Freya was in the car. Absolutely scared the hell out of me. At that moment, I was like, I need to go. I need to leave right now. I need to be home. I need to be with the family and make sure everybody's okay. Because Jess stopped responding to me, so I didn't know. She just didn't see my text. So I was like, do you need me to come home? Do you want me to come home? Nothing. I left. Got home. Freya was on the counter. I think Jess's mom gave me a hug because she saw I was visibly shaking. And Freya was sitting at the counter with chicken nuggets. They had picked up McDonald's and Taco Bell. The Taco Bell was cold. The nuggets were probably cold too, but Jess wasn't eating. She was not eating her food. And obviously, and Freya was like, "Yeah, I'll eat my chicken nuggets. I got my Happy Meal over here." And I was like, "Are you okay?" That was probably pretty scary. She didn't say a word. She just grabbed her plastic firefighter hat and put it on her head, and then grabbed her police badge sticker. The police and firefighters, the emergency response, took great care of the family. shout out to Adam Lawson and the female officer that were on duty taking care of Freya. Really, really good to hear this, but Freya, man, kids, they are so resilient. Where I'm over here freaking out, Jess is over here freaking out. Freya's like, I got a sticker. I got to sit in a police officer vehicle, is how she said it to me, and go hang out inside of the fire truck and look at all the stuff. She was having a great time. She didn't really, I don't think she really processed it until yesterday. We were actually on the way to the dealership and somebody cut us off on the interstate. And luckily the rental car has great brakes, or we would have been in another one. It's just, Tyler, I said before this, I know you have a promo of the week that I could easily cut a promo on drivers today. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're going to focus on the terror that happens when your children are in near-death scenarios. Even though nobody was going to die in that accident, you hear car accident, you think it's going to happen, the helplessness that comes with it. But then the joy at seeing the resiliency in kids. Absolutely incredible. And hopefully you get to experience that resiliency someday when you have kids.
Wow, man. I mean, what is there to be said? I'm just so happy that not only did Freya get her chicken nuggets and her fire hat, I can totally imagine that whole scenario playing out. But I'm glad that Jess is okay, all things considered, and that, man, I'm just, like you said, you just never know with these things. So I'm glad you were able to head home, and I'm glad that everyone is hanging in there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So it's time for question 2. And now that as soon as we started talking about this, I started thinking about the cars that we were looking at yesterday. So
you did go car shopping,
even though I don't even know if the car is totaled yet. So we still haven't found out. I'm sure it is, but they have dude, the process is so crazy. They got to go get the car, bring it to their own junkyard, assess it there, and then bring it back. It's weird. Also, we did not get to talk about the junkyard. So before we move on here, man, we went to Eddie's Towing, legit junkyard in the back, junkyard dog out front. The guy that is running the shop said maybe 4 words, no eye contact.
Oh, that's not good.
Unbelievably terrifying. Yeah. I don't know if that was in fact Eddie, but it was just this is,
I think we can presume that's Eddie.
That's probably Eddie.
Absolute heel. Yeah.
Or his brother, Freddie, whoever it is. Cause I met the woman that was out there yesterday when we showed up. It's well, we're not open today. And I was oh, okay, well, we'll come back tomorrow. Or on Monday to get our stuff. It was online, it's very confusing. The tow yard is closed, but it's, when you look at hours, it just says 24/7. It's a tow truck company.
Yeah.
So
I get that. That's super confusing.
Yeah. So anyway, it was, absolute heel. Probably inside, I don't know. When I rolled up on the screen, there was black and white comic books on the screen. It was totally took me by surprise. But anyway, my question we already kind of got into. So let's say Danielson wins, which he will, and let's say he has a title run, which I hope he will. How does he run in this title run? Are we going to see current shades of gray Danielson, heel Danielson, or babyface Danielson? And I'll give you a scenario that I did not write down. Moxley loses, but let's say he doesn't tap out in the label lock. He stays in there, or cattle mutilation, which would be even better for me. In one of those two, and he passes out, and that's an injury. And now he's injured at the hands of Bryan Danielson, and then he can go on his vacation, or he's out and the firm comes in and attacks both of them, and that's what injures Moxley to put him on vacation. What do you think that Danielson will do something to earn a heel run rather than shades of gray, or do you see him current heel babyface? What are your thoughts?
Fascinating question. I have not thought about this, but his run has been very shades of gray. I think back to his promo before he was sort of introducing Claudio to the audience before we knew it was Claudio at Forbidden Door, when he was in the middle of the ring and said, he was basically saying I found an excellent substitution for me, blah, blah, blah. But he was healing it up. He said, I'm not going to tell you all this now, and then boos. And then he, just sort of plays up.
He even said he came out of the heel tunnel, right?
Yeah, he came out of the heel tunnel. But said, I don't need to tell you all who my substitution is going to be because I'm Bryan Danielson. Stop. So yeah, you're right. It has been shades of gray, which I've thoroughly enjoyed. But I think the money is going to be in Danielson versus MJF for the title. And Brad, I want to go out on a limb and say we get a babyface Bryan Danielson with Mox perhaps being out of the picture for a bit and Danielson thus now being the leader of Blackpool Combat Club, perhaps. I see a full babyface turn for him here. I do. And I think the fans would absolutely get behind it. Although his previous work has been magnificent as Shades of Grey, I think this is the time for us to get babyface Danielson, which sets up, arguably the best male babyface in the company versus the best male heel in the company, Danielson versus MJF. I think that's where the money is. So I'm going to go babyface turn here. What do you think? Still Shades of Grey or do we get full baby?
Hopefully Shades of Grey. I don't really care. I thought of a better question. So while you were talking, the MJF thing popped into my head, and I was like, I was so pissed that we had the same question. This happens occasionally. It's all organic. Always the mess. Yeah.
Yes.
So what I was thinking here was MJF telling the crowd to shut up, calling them marks, calling them idiots, backwoods, all of that stuff. He's getting cheers when he does that stuff now. Is it time to let MJF be MJF and let him be a babyface? I know those things are like, it's a paradox.
No, but we have two characters. I mean, there are so many characters who fit this description, but we have two characters here in
Shades of Grey,
and Danielson, right? Who, yeah, absolutely. Some fans want to boo them for character's sake, but we all know that we love them, and thus we're seeing MJF get cheered. I'll never forget when they were in Buffalo and he came out in the Josh Allen jersey, and he said, didn't he call a fan in the audience like a fat piece of garbage?
Yes.
And he said, "I'm just kidding, honey. You're gorgeous. We'll talk after the show."
Yeah.
And then he just walks around the ring with his arms out, and the fans are applauding him. It's like, what? It was just brilliant. It so popped me. Brad, I'm gonna say, why not? Your question made me think. Maybe Shades of Grey for both of these guys is the answer, and that's okay. Maybe we don't have to stick to these traditional tropes of boo the bad guy, cheer the good guy. Maybe both of these guys are Shades of Grey, and that's going to make for an epic feud.
Stone Cold spent his time as a babyface flipping off the crowd. So I just
every time,
like, and everybody
still
would
to
flip
this
him
day
off back and cheer.
Yeah,
I think we're kind of heading towards something like that. And I don't know. MJF is right now. He's working really hard to be a bad guy and doing good work at it. But he's not getting the heat that he used to get since coming back. We're
so happy he's back. Yeah.
Yes, he's naturally a babyface right now.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, man, I wish he could cut a promo on CM Punk about how he stole all of his thunder on his return and all of that stuff. I wish that could happen. But I also like MJF showing back up, not being happy with how things went and knowing he's going to have heat. I have so much respect for him doing that. I have so much respect for him showing back up and doing his job and doing it very well. And also for all the guys he works with to be willing to do that with somebody who didn't do great things for the company. But I think now, hindsight being what it is, he didn't do what CM Punk did, but he didn't go into business for himself. He didn't bury anybody publicly. He just was unhappy. And I understand if Wardlow never really gets over that because it affected him more than anybody, but
it really did.
It became about MJF maybe having his last match more than about Wardlow finally getting his moment.
Yeah. We're going to look back on that, I think. And then just, it did exactly what you said, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, Punk did the same thing. MJF's return, the great match he had with Moxley, which was a great match. Nobody remembers it. Nobody cares. And that sucks. So I think the Shades of Grey thing, I think they just need to lean into it. Less, shut up, you stupid marks, because people are cheering that. I think they just need to leave that alone and let things organically happen instead of trying to force the issue. But I think the big difference here is Stone Cold Steve Austin, great at talking, right? Like great on the mic. He had his catchphrases and stuff. Max has one catchphrase. The guy is a promo god, but Tyler, not as good as you. It's time for another edition of the promo of the week. Play the music.
And now, the promo of the week.
Speaking of forcing the issue, I am going to attempt to do that here, Brad. I'm so pissed off about this. The official report, the conclusive report for Phoenix Suns and Phoenix Mercury, actually, majority owner Robert Sarver, came out this past week. If you are a fan of us, if you're a fan of hoops, you probably are already aware of this. But in summary, some really damning findings here, which led to Sarver being suspended for 1 full year and fined $10 million. So he is out of sight, out of mind, presumably for this entire NBA season. But the report concluded, it's been like a year since we initially heard about this, Brad, and now we have the findings that I think it was on at least 5 occasions, Sarver used the N-word. He, under the guise of like him repeating what someone else said, he made many people feel uncomfortable at the workplace, particularly women, with some of his crude comments, and I think even like pulling down his pants at a meeting, and just some awful examples of what it must have been like to work for this guy.
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe that he should be out entirely. I do not understand. Or maybe I do, but I don't understand how this guy is any different than former Clippers owner Donald Sterling. Brad, you remember that was the biggest news in the entire sports world for a full weekend a few years ago when the Sterling tape came out. I think that's what's missing in this report is there's no, I guess, smoking gun, for lack of a better phrase. We have the report, we have, the interviews of hundreds of former associates or employees. We know the work was put into this research, but we don't have Sarver on tape, on audio, or on camera doing any of these things. If we think back to the NFL several years ago and the incident involving Ray Rice, the domestic violence incident,
right?
It was just hearing of it, obviously instantly repulsive, and action needed to be taken to get Ray Rice, away. But it wasn't until the video came out, that elevator video, which I think really just put the story in a whole nother light for so many people actually seeing this happening. So it's unfortunate that there hasn't been a tape that's emerged for Sarver. We know his fellow owners don't want to get in the territory of, well, you find the skeletons in someone's closet and then you want to get rid of their team. What precedent does that set for me and my own skeletons? So Brad, as a Suns fan, as a Mercury fan, I'm already worried about this upcoming season, and if the team is truly a title contender. I'm still stuck on Game 7 and Luka just embarrassing them. But I want Robert Sarver gone. I am not going to support this team monetarily in any fashion until this motherfucker is gone. Brad, he needs to go. It is ridiculous that you find a multi-millionaire, maybe even billionaire at this point. I don't know how much this dude is worth, but you find him $10 million. You put him away for 1 year just so he can return and we can all forget about it.
Yeah.
Because we're sheep and don't have the heart or the cojones to take a stand and to stop watching. I will watch old and one mixtape highlights. I will try to find a way to watch the Shanghai Sharks. Whatever I need to do, I can get my basketball fix because I am not going to support this team if he remains the owner. Good for PayPal standing up. Good for the Suns minority owner standing up. But Sarver needs to go.
Amen, man. That was great. I always enjoy a good promo. I was like, this is feeling a little hot takey, and then boom, promo of the week. Ooh.
We get the explicit warning for this week's episode. I tried to contain myself, Brad, but you know how disappointing this is, how upsetting this is, and I just think the Suns fandom, we can't just stay silent about this. I don't know how much of a platform all of us Suns fans have, but to stay silent on it and just forget about it, or just I'm gonna root for the players, I get that, but that's just not how I'm operating.
Well, I think to your point though is. What's Phoenix got? Phoenix has 10 million people in it, the area, right? The county.
It's huge. Yeah.
It's enormous, right? But it's
huge.
still considered a small market.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly,
yeah, you're right.
I think because of all the migrant people that work there or live there. I don't even mean from Mexico. I mean everybody's from everywhere else. Your family's from New York, New Jersey, right? That area.
Yes.
I'm from Michigan originally, by way
Chicago,
of Wisconsin.
LA,
all these people just from everywhere. I just running down the people that I work with in my building, South Dakota, Minnesota.
Yes.
I don't
Steve
know.
Davis.
I don't know. Like everybody's from everywhere else,
Yeah,
not
true.
even Arizona. And if they're from Arizona, their parents probably aren't. So people are just fans of teams all over the place. Like why I'm here as a Pistons fan. And I root for the Suns, but because I am by force. I don't have much of a choice, but I have hope this year. I have hope. Um Deshaun Watson, Sarver, hell, Donald Trump, if you want to go that direction. All this stuff is
WWE Hall of Famer Donald Trump.
Vince McMahon. We have all of this stuff. Vince had bigger consequences than any of these guys, and he's the owner. And that's the way the owner should be. You forced into retirement, off of the board. You still have stock in this thing, but when you have a private ownership, there's not really anything you can do unless the NBA owners force him out, and that's the only way it's going to happen is force a sale. And I think it needs to happen, but I don't think the NBA owners are going to do anything about it. I'm tired of people like blatantly breaking the law, getting caught in high definition, having the courts even say you did stuff like what would happen with Watson, and then getting a slap on the wrist, by extension, getting one of the biggest contracts in history, or having a rally to run for re-election while everybody sticks their arms out like they're hiling and point to one into the sky, like they're in some kind of weird white supremacist bloodline group. We get to have that bullshit. Tyler, I believe it's 5 years in prison for willfully taking confidential top secret documents. Not even top secret, confidential documents, a page, 5 years a page.
If you or I did that behind bars, see ya.
Yes, top secret documents are considered treasonous. Taking those, they were out when he was told repeatedly to put them in a locked area. You can't have them out. They were still out. They're taking box after box after box, and what happens? Jack and then shit. So I'm not surprised that Sarver's just got a year and nothing, because that's the way we do things when people have money and power.
Right. Well, and luckily
it's disgusting.
Luckily, we live in a time where whether it's Twitter or other apps or means to bring people together, I'm really hopeful that the momentum will lead to Sarver being out. LeBron tweeted, Chris Paul tweeted, and although I'm maybe not hopeful of this happening, my desire is that this story will not just go away once we begin the NBA season in a month. I really hope the pressure stays on. We hold this dude accountable. And like you said, just because someone has money and power, that should not repeal them of the consequences of their abhorrent actions. This was not a bad day. This is promo extended. This is not a bad day. This was not
literally wrote that down.
This was not an unfortunate comment. This was years going back to 2004, years of documented situations where this guy isn't learning. This guy isn't, we're teaching an old dog new tricks. This is this guy is a misogynist. This guy has said racist comment after racist comment, even after being told like, hey, dude, you shouldn't do this. But because, like you said, you have money and power, because you now own a $2 billion sports team, people are just going to turn the other cheek or look away. The Suns Twitter account, Brad, even put out an official statement that was really disappointing. Again, I know they're Sarver people, so they're not just going to clearly cut a promo on the guy in the statement, but it basically said, this is not verbatim, but it basically said, these examples are all old. We've taken corrective actions to change the culture and the environment here. Totally, in my opinion, undermining the severity and the toxicity of the work environment. Total bullshit. I had to quote tweet and just with a trash emoji.
That's right.
I love this franchise so much, and it sucks selfishly at sports. So it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of life, but it just sucks that I don't think I'm going to be able to root for them this year after they came so close to winning a chip. But man, like you said, it's about money and power. And it's unfortunate that if you have those two things, you can just abstain from being held accountable the way you should, in my opinion.
Tyler, I grew up a Brett Favre fan. I had a Brett Favre jersey.
Jesus. Do you like volleyball?
Not anymore.
What the hell? That guy is an absolute piece of trash.
Yeah,
You know this.
He's scum. He's absolute scum. It's an embarrassment. Between the I'm immunized, I never said I was vaccinated, Aaron Rodgers bullshit, and now we have Brett Favre sending dick pics from his tractor in Mississippi while he robs welfare.
Taking from the
Garbage.
poorest people in the poorest state
Yeah.
for your daughter's volleyball team's arena.
I think we know which
you're a millionaire.
We know which population that's affecting the most, and I have a feeling he really doesn't care.
Right.
And it makes me sick and sad. And the fact
where's that
that
Wrangler money? You're on the TV all the time.
The Wrangler money, the Copper Fit money,
yes.
Whatever local promos you're doing, the
Cameo, I don't know, like
hopefully not from a phone.
Yeah.
OnlyFans maybe.
It's upsetting, man. I think you and I guess in a special way can relate to each other on this. It's really disappointing when your heroes or the people you grew up admiring just turn out to, it's not even that you make a mistake, right? Because we all do, but it's the just clear lack of any responsibility, any acknowledgement of what you've done wrong. It's just, no, that's not a true story. Or, so many people love me that you all aren't going to believe these ill words about me. We'll just forget about it. It's ridiculous, Brad.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that you and I see this similarly.
Likewise, and I'm grateful for this upcoming week. Tyler, what are you looking forward to?
Me too. I got two things really quickly, man.
Okay.
First, of course, Dynamite. Well, even before that, Monday Night Raw is now watchable again. I love what Damage Control is doing. I'm really excited about that trio. So I want to give a shout out to them. Dynamite Grand Slam and Rampage should be awesome. I cannot wait for the Acclaim to get their moment, Brad. I know we talked solely about the world title picture, but I really think we're going to leave that show discussing how great it was to see the Acclaimed get their moment. The chants are going to be loud for them and Arthur Ashe. I'm already just so gleeful about
I can't wait, yeah.
About seeing that match. And I don't know if it goes on first or if it goes on last, because last year, you may recall, Omega and Danielson opened and Ruby and Britt actually closed the show for the belt. So I think they could go either way for this.
It'll go on first, not last.
You think so?
Yeah, because the last is the championship match. So
okay. You don't think they're going to switch it up?
No, because Omega and Danielson was not for the belt.
Right.
Omega and Danielson was just a showdown with a 30-minute thing,
right.
not non-title. Because Daniel said, "I want to see who the best wrestler is," and it went to a draw. So
it did go to a draw. That's right. Okay.
So I think I don't think it goes on last, but I kind of hope it does.
Right? Like Danielson winning is going to be a moment, but the Acclaimed winning is
that'll
really
be the bigger
thing I'm
moment.
most looking forward to.
The audience will be completely gassed out if you do that first. Yeah. So I think you have to put it at the end. I think it has to be that way. So
yes, let's
right.
Let's go.
Like, I think it makes a ton of sense.
The match itself is going to rule, Brad. These guys put on the best match at All Out. And now we get it here again. So I want to hear your answer. So I'm just going to say Grand Slam. I cannot wait for the return of wrestling at Arthur Ashe. And then finally, I got to get you on FX's Atlanta. Season 4 is back. Donald Glover's creation. 2 episodes were released last week, Brad. Available on Hulu as well. So good. I haven't spoken with our friend Jabari Davis, but I know he's a fellow fan. This show is so unique. I got to get you to watch season 4, episode 1, and then I want to hear your thoughts. I don't want to spoil anything, but first 2 episodes of season 4 make me feel very excited. I think the season's very promising. Could end up being the best season of Atlanta in the show's history. I'm going to go out on a limb. So I cannot wait for Thursday night to see episode 3. We got wrestling. We got Atlanta. Bachelorette is concluding. I think it's going to be an epic week. How about you? What are you looking forward to this week?
So one of the cool things that I think I'm looking forward to Grand Slam. Both evenings of Grand Slam. It's a little alarming to me that Rampage seems to have 75 matches and Dynamite has 4. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I was like, how are they going to just going to be squash after squash after squash? There's so many matches in an hour-long show, unless they're planning on surprising us with a 2-hour-long Rampage.
Yeah, I think we are getting a 2-hour Rampage.
Then that would make sense if we're going to do that. I hope that's what.
That.
Okay, I didn't see that. So hopefully that's what we're getting, because otherwise that's not fitting on 1 hour.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was announced as big of a way as it was last year, but I'm almost positive it's going to be 2 hours.
Yeah, so I think And it'll be live, correct? I think that
I-
one's live. I don't know if that one's taped because I know
I
we had
hope
live
so.
shows coming back.
Yeah.
2 hours seems like, man, that's a 4-hour show though at Arthur Ashe.
I kind of think it might be taped. I think they're doing the 4-hour Arthur
Yeah.
Ashe.
So I don't love those because then so many spoilers if there's a title change, which usually predicts that there won't be, and I don't like that either. So anyway, I think I'm looking forward to that. Like you, I look forward to Raw now. I think Raw is starting to become appointment television, and I have no problem missing the NFL because I'm not watching it. I like watching SmackDown now too. It feels like every week we might get something new, and that's why it's been so refreshing. Because we have my favorite shot of the year in wrestling was from Raw, was Dexter Lumis poking out of the bottom of the ring, looking up at the cage at the Miz before choking him out and petting his face. I think it was it's been my favorite. Just my favorite shot of the year so far. I don't know if it's my favorite moment of the year, but it's my favorite shot. Carmelo's probably coming up. I think we're getting that soon. Shotzi ran out this week and made a save, but it was reported by Fightful on Fightful Select that the tank was shipped to the venue. I believe it was Fightful. It might have been Wrestling Observer, but I think it was Fightful that the tank did come along to the venue. So I'm looking forward to see what happens there. I want Tank Shotzi back. I want the Blackheart back. Please let that happen. Give her the helmet. Leave the Howl back in NXT, but give me everything else.
You still want to be welcome to the ball pit.
Absolutely. Tell me that one of the best moments of the year wasn't Sad Corbin getting shot in the penis from the tank.
I remember that.
I mean, it was great. Him turning around, Kevin Owens giving him money, him getting him shot in the dick, and then falling on the ground, and then the dirty dogs steal his money and walk away. Like, it was amazing. All
Great.
of that. I miss Sad Corbin.
Great callback.
Yeah, I miss Sad Corbin so much. This Happy Corbin seems like a transition into something else, though. So hopefully that happens. I'm also looking forward to Rings of Power. I've been really enjoying the show on Amazon Prime. Really good tie-ins. Feels like Lord of the Rings of Thrones to me, or Game of the Rings, as I called it last night. So it's such a different wrinkle to that series. It's, I think, a little bit more aggressively gross and violent, but still not Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones level anything, not even approaching that. But production value wise, it's been very good, and it's been entertaining to see kind of a history of this world that was built out in a couple of films with familiar characters told from like flashbacks. Well, now they're not flashbacks. Now it's their story. So I really like that. And it's been a lot of fun. We've been enjoying it. So looking forward to more of that.
Yeah. Love it. Well, Brad, this was a blast as always. I recommend all of you listening or watching follow Brad on Twitter. He is at Windduster. You can also follow his fan page on Instagram at Mr. I looked this up, Brad. At Mr.Winchester_fan page. The dude is blowing up. We are acknowledging him because the man deserves it. He's a great teacher, an amazing friend, and we want to give him his flowers always.
That fan page exists to put random crap I say in class into a public forum.
You know I had to put it out there. You know it.
You didn't have to. You chose to. I'm following that account specifically to know if I need to shut it down.
I love it. Yeah, I'll just transition to put myself over it. I do not have a fan page, but I am at Tyler J. McDowell on Twitter. We are at GIPod19, and we are at 19M Group if you want to follow the latest happenings and the latest work from our colleagues at 19 Media Group. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Good Pods, our premier partners, and Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.